tuned from around the world. Welcome to Radio Free Pro Wrestling, the best Monday Night Raw pre-show on the internet. Ashley, Shawn, and Cammy from the Pop Break are all here to give you their hot takes, break down the matchups and the latest news. No flips, just straight wrestling talk and debate.
Well, hello, and welcome to week number 2, our RFPW Raw Countdown. Of course, I am Shawn with my tag team partner, Ashley. Ashley is reporting live from Rhode Island in the middle of a rainstorm, but she's managed to be with us tonight. Ashley, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm staying inside because it is pouring out right now.
I gotta say, last week's Monday Night Raw was a banger. It was exactly what it needed to be coming off of a good SummerSlam. We finally saw who Gunther will be challenging at Bash of Berlin. And Ashley, it is no other than the Apex Predator, the Legend Killer. It's Randy freaking Orton. How do you feel about this match?
I feel like it's a perfect first opponent for Gunther. Major, storyline wise, they give him a few weeks to build it up with Randy Orton, and it should put him over as probably the top champion. Well, up on the upper levels of the champions in WWE right now.
I feel like it's a safe play for the WWE. You bring in a true veteran of the ring, and it gives Gunther a credible victory in his first title defense. And it gives you an opportunity to kick down who he faces after Randy down the road. Because if we saw last week on Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins has been written off of TV due to 6 tsunamis from Bronson Reed as they rehab Bronson Reed in one night to be one of the biggest monsters in the WWE right now.
Yeah, seemingly continuing the reset we quote unquote that we spoke about during the SummerSlam review.
Honestly, they did more with Bronson Reed last week on Monday Night Raw than they had done with him in the previous 3 years and 2 runs with the company.
I think he did very well for himself in New Japan, and I think finally maybe somebody in WWE recognized the talent there.
See, with Bronson Reed, I feel like he was one of those victims of the change in backstage creative, because it's clearly Bronson Reed is a Triple H guy. So when Triple H was in power, Bronson Reed was able to be used on TV in a good position. Once power got taken away from Triple H there for a while, he kind of slid to the back burner and found himself as being one of those releases back 2 March ago, if I remember right. He gets brought back into the company. Triple H is the person in control now, and I think we're finally seeing what Triple H and Bronson Reed had envisioned for the person going forward. And can you imagine Bronson Reed versus Gunther for that world title?
If they're building towards that, that should be very, very good.
I think that's the direction they should go, and I think that's going to be one banger of a match. Now, I got to say, we did try to give the WWE an idea about giving a new name to the new Judgment Day, the Judgment Day 3.0, as we found out last week that Finn Balor is the new leader of the Judgment Day. So with Finn in charge of the Judgment Day, I got a feeling that we're going to see him offer up JD McDonagh and, like tonight, Carlito. Carlito is a putty, and he's facing Damian Priest. Is there any chance in the world that Carlito gets this victory over Damian Priest tonight?
Unless the rest of this new version of the Judgment Day interferes, I don't see any chance. I think Damian Priest is going to be seeking some serious revenge.
Now, Raw is going to open up with Rhea Ripley making her latest statement after we saw her last week coming down, making the save for Damian Priest. And I got to say, we should have entered Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio in the 100-meter dash, because how fast they left the ring once they saw Mommy get into the ring.
And again, like we said last week, every reason, and Dom especially, needs to be afraid right now.
Okay, Ashley, on a level from 1 to 10, 10 being like Chernobyl, how hot is Rhea Ripley at Dominic Mysterio at the moment?
11.
11. It's like I said a couple weeks ago. I feel like Dominic Mysterio is dead man walking. I mean, like the dude is due for a beat down, and it's just a matter of time. And there's rumors that they're going to have a mixed tag team match at Bastion of Berlin, being like Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. And if that happens, that should be the semi-main event to that card.
Yeah, absolutely. The storyline and all the work that they've put into this, absolutely we should.
So the main event tonight on Monday Night Raw is going to be an Intercontinental title match between Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn. Is a best 2 out of 3 falls. Actually, I'm going to tell you right now, this match doesn't need 3 falls. Braun Breaker needs to win 1 and the second fall as quickly as possible to establish him as this badass babyface Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, I think he should have like a very strong, decisive win, especially if what you said was true earlier, like before we got on air about possibly moving Sammy over to SmackDown. I think you should give Braun this very decisive win to kind of start off his new championship reign.
See, I agree with you. And the reason why I was thinking maybe they're moving him over to Friday nights and SmackDown is this the simple fact that we saw Roman Reigns come back, lay out the bloodline, and we know we're eventually getting to the new bloodline versus the old bloodline storyline, probably for WWE War Games in Vancouver, Canada. So we need to establish the OG bloodline, and Sammy's on Raw. We need to move him over to SmackDown. Now, granted, personally, I would have loved to see this Intercontinental title rematch at Bastion of Berlin because that would have been a fun match to have on that card in front of that German crowd. I think they would enjoy it just as much as the people in Austin, Texas tonight. But I gotta say, this is the match I'm looking forward to the most this evening.
Yeah, should be a very good one.
And we have a WWE Women's Tag Team #1 Championship contender match as we have Io Sky and Kairi Singh versus Zoe Starks and Shayna Baszler. I got a feeling coming out of last week and we saw Dakota Kai getting written off due to injury. I feel like Shayna Baszler and Zoe Starks are heading back up, and they're going to be the next ones to challenge the Dawn and Alba Fire Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, definitely. If that wasn't the plan before, I'm sure there's been some scrambling to make it the plan now.
And honestly, I feel like we're still trying to establish this trio of Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Starks, and they need a win. And getting a win over Io Sky and Kairi Singh, a former women tag team champion, I feel like it's a good move. Even though I would love to see Io Sky and Kairi Singh versus Dawn and Alba Fire. That'd be a dang good match as well.
It would be, but I don't think it's the worst idea to kind of go with some fresh faces in this division.
Well, talking about fresh faces, last week on Monday Night Raw, we saw AOP versus the New Day. And we talked about this on Radio Free Professional Wrestling over the weekend. Last week, I was saying this was the worst match I could think of, the worst feud of my year. And somehow, some way, they made it into my top 5 matches of the week, actually.
This is like the upside of finally doing something with characters that have kind of felt stale for a while. I feel like maybe the New Day has sort of felt like this, so this change-up should be the best possible thing right now for them.
I just love the fact that after the match last week, we saw a little tension between Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Ozzy Jones. And the fact that Xavier Woods goes over to Kofi and goes like, I didn't know you were friends with Jones. And he's like, yeah, we've been friends. I was down at the Performance Center. I told him that you might need some help with the Last Testament. And it looked like Xavier Woods was taken back by the fact that he needed help.
I should take help.
Well, I gotta say, Ozzy Jones in his first appearance since he got drafted on Monday Night Raw looked like $1 million. I mean, like, the dude double sidewalk slam AOP, and AOP are not small guys. And I was going like, oh my freaking word. This is how you build somebody you haven't brought on TV yet, and you want to make them like a main player. That's exactly how you should do it.
I agree.
Okay, so the main event from last week Monday Night Raw was the Wyatt Sick versus the newly Christian American Made. That's Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. Ashley, did the Wyatt Sick pass the eye test once they got in the ring and started wrestling?
Yeah, I think this was a very good first go for what to expect from this group in the ring, along with their vignettes and promos and things like that.
I gotta say, I love the fact that they're still using Bray Wyatt's theme song, and just the camera shot of the crowd holding up all the camera phones with the lights on. It was just like this moment where you're going like, the crowd are going to make sure, at least from the start, this is not going to be able to fail. And I gotta say, they look good in the ring. And the question is, when does this take the next step? Because we know eventually they're going to have to move past the Creed brothers and Chad Gable. Who do you feud with the Wyatt Sick next?
I think there's a few good options out there. I mean, hope maybe by the time you have this sort of set tied up, maybe somebody like Finn Balor and JD McDonough, and along with their group, could be in there.
It would be an interesting play if you see the new Judgment Day face off against the Wyatt Sick. I think there's a storyline there. I mean, you also have the Last Testament there on Raw. I mean, if you want to go from like American Made to the Last Testament, then to the new Judgment Day, I feel like that could be an arc you can tell the Wyatt Sick. I feel like it was a successful debut for that group. And I love the pairing of Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. I feel like it's a win-win.
Yeah, and it's very cool to see like Chad Gable leading his stable, like with this kind of more heel version of himself. I like it.
And what is more intimidating than the Creed brothers? Oh, wait a minute. I know what it is. Creed brothers in like business wear. I'm like, they are dressed freaking sharp. They look like they're serious freaking people ready to go lay the beat down on somebody. So we'll have to wait to see what they do in the coming weeks here on Monday Night Raw. We did have a little interaction. I was kind of surprised at the direction that it took. Last week on Monday Night Raw, we had CM Punk come out, and then Seth Rollins comes down the ring, and we got a tease of the CM Punk Seth Rollins feud that we're hoping to see. Now, I feel like they're gonna boot that down to 2025, and that's gonna be your WrestleMania feud for CM Punk and Seth Rollins. But it looks like coming out of last week's Monday Night Raw, we got another go with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk.
I mean, it sort of makes sense if they were depending on Seth Rollins being back, as it seems like they were sort of playing him back into it and then had to back out. But I'm not opposed to it. I was a little disappointed with the outcome of the match, but the feud itself was very good. So I'm pretty sure they could get themselves heated back up again if they gave it, their best.
I just want to know what we're doing with Bronson Reed for after the attack on Seth Rollins, because now Seth is out for a while. Does Bronson Reed, does he spin off into this Seth Rollins spot in this trio? Do we have Bronson Reed go after Drew McIntyre? Do we have Bronson Reed go after CM Punk?
I would be down for Bronson Reed versus Drew McIntyre.
Oh my word, that would be such a banger. Drew McIntyre versus Bronson Reed. I mean, like, sign me up for it. I'll give you my money now. I mean, tell me. One thing we didn't mention so far on last week's Monday Night Raw was Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. And Sheamus gets the victory here, but we saw Pete Dunne still working his way, trying to get revenge on Sheamus for breaking up the Braun Brutes. I get a feeling that we're heading to this Sheamus versus Pete Dunne feud, and I can't wait.
Yeah, that should be a very good feud.
Exactly. I feel like those two guys can't have a bad match. I kind of feel bad for Luke Kaiser because the dude is like eating something else right now. And if you saw Friday Night SmackDown, his former tag team partner, General Da Vinci, just got a new video package. So they're debuting him on SmackDown. With Gunther being your world champion, does he just go back to being Gunther's ring announcer? And that's basically what he does?
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see where his placement is.
Yeah, because I really thought Da Vinci was going to be the third man out of it once they broke him away from the group. Now with this new packaging on SmackDown, I feel like maybe Luke Kaiser is the odd man out of this trio, and he's the one that the company's not going to push.
I wouldn't want to go. I would hope we wouldn't go that far.
I hope we don't go that far. I feel like Luke Kaiser should be in your Intercontinental title level feuds. Oh, hey, after we move Sami Zayn over from Raw to SmackDown, if we're making Breaker a face, Luke Kaiser versus Braun Breaker. I mean, like, that's an Intercontinental title match waiting to happen.
Yeah, that would be perfect, honestly.
I gotta say, that would be a heck of a match. So, let's talk about... Okay, how about this? We'll talk about this for a second, Ashley. What do you think about the new name for Chad Gable's group being American Made?
Well, considering when we talked about it last week, you talked about everybody thinking of the American Male song. It's been stuck in my head now. So that's kind of where I'm at with that name.
See, I'm just wondering how do you think they're going to be able to trademark American Made? I mean, I guess they can do it for everything wrestling related, but it seems so generic that they wouldn't be able to hold that copyright. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does seem kind of generic, but I don't know. It like fits, but also is generic. It's strange.
I'm kind of disappointed they didn't go full on like Kurt Angle revamp intro for these guys and have the "You Suck" kind of built into the theme, because I feel like the crowd was trying to do it. They just ain't had the timing yet since we only heard that theme once now. So I think in a couple of weeks they'll have this down and you'll start hearing "You Suck" as they come down to the ring to this new kind of Kurt English theme.
That's that's a chant that I can get behind wrestling fans doing, unlike the what.
Yes. The "What" chant is so 2003. There's no place for it in this time and place in professional wrestling. It's like almost to the point where you want to respond back like, "You're not creative."
Oh, it's so bad.
So, Ashley, if you had a grade last week's Monday Night Raw, what would you grade it?
I think I would give this one a solid A. I think this has been one of the better episodes of the year.
You know, honestly, I agree with you. My grade would be an A+. I feel like they did everything they needed to do coming out of SummerSlam. They carried that momentum from SummerSlam over to the Raw after SummerSlam. We got some new directions. We closed some stories, and I feel like we're going to close one tonight with Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn. And I'm hoping they will continue this run as we head towards Bash in Berlin, which is 2 weeks away. Isn't it crazy to think that we're 2 weeks away to the end of August in Bash in Berlin?
Yes, I can't believe how fast this year is going already.
So, out of everything I tell you about on this week's Monday Night Raw, what are you looking forward to the most?
I think I'm looking forward most to probably Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker again. I know we're kind of coming just off the match from SummerSlam, but I'm very excited to see Braun Breaker sort of take the reins with his championship reign and, like I said, hopefully get a nice decisive victory and start this off reign right.
I agree with you. Now, me personally, I'm kind of interested to see week 2 of the new Judgment Day 3.0 because the first week seemed like once the Terror Twins got down to the ring, they were basically generic putties, and they got themselves clobbered. If we're going to keep this Judgment Day thing going long enough for Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley to finally wrap up with a story, we need to see the new Judgment Day come out on top somewhere.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need to get at least a few victories before the big blow up because obviously you can't have Rhea and Damien on the losing side of the payoff. So I think they got some time though.
Yeah, they got a couple weeks here. We might see tonight that Judgment Day 3.0 finally get their act together and get on the right side of the beatdown instead of being like a bunch of red shirts, if you want to use a Star Trek metaphor.
Yeah, should be good.
So here's another question for you. Did we see Xavier was more of a heel tonight on Monday Night Raw if there's any interaction between him and Odyssey Jones and Xavier Woods? Or do we wait to maybe the New Day versus Last Testament at Bash in Berlin? And that's where Xavier Woods turns heel. Now, my question, Ashley, does he join the Last Testament? I don't want him to join the Last Testament.
I say I don't want him to join the Last Testament. If he's going to kind of strike out on his own or switch up, I'd be okay with that. But I don't want him to join this other stable.
Yeah, I mean, you're just trading places. I mean, he has a good role in the New Day. He's the Robin to Xavier Woods Batman. If he joins the New Testament, exactly who is he in that group? To me, he's like the low man on the tone pole. He's that, I want to say, disgruntled babyface who got brainwashed by Karrion Kross.
Yeah, and I think kind of all the stuff that Kofi has done before that you'd want to think he'd be a little above of something like that, like storyline wise.
I kind of want to see him to be more of a heel like Wesley, like we saw last week on NXT, where there's a justified reason for Wesley to turn heel on his tag team partner. Maybe the disrespect shown by Kofi Kingston to Xavier Woods is the reason Kofi Woods just snaps and goes like, fine, you want Ozzy Jones to be a part of the New Day, that's fine, but I don't want him to be a part of the New Day now.
Yeah, see that makes more sense, and for me, would be a better justification.
I do think so. I think that would be a better way to play the story. We'll just have to wait to see what comes up here in about 20 minutes as we're rapidly heading towards the Monday night episode of WWE TV. Ashley, how excited are you coming into this Raw episode?
Pretty excited. Like you said, they carried the momentum from SummerSlam into the last week's Raw, so hopefully they can continue it into this week.
Like you said, I feel like this could possibly be a good Raw going on to Master Berlin. We'll just have to wait and see. So go get your drinks, get your chips. You have 20 minutes to get ready for Monday Night Raw. Ashley, where can we find you on the Super Information Super Highway?
Mostly on Twitter, at groovy_ash_, and there listed are all my other socials.
You can always follow this show on Twitter at RadioFreePW. You can always visit www.radiofreepw.com to catch up on the last episodes of the podcast. Do us a favor. If you have our Raw Countdown show, hit the like button, subscribe, tell a friend. Much appreciated. And until we see you this weekend for the full-length Radio Free Professional Wrestling podcast, stay steady. Enjoy your week of professional wrestling.